Hey guys, I know this is not my usual kind of video, but it is something that those of you who know me know that I do on the back end. I am a big fan of local AI, private AI, and not ChatGPT and all those big giant companies that are out there collecting your data. I value being able to do it locally. So, with that in mind, I have my own hardware, nothing fancy. I don't have enterprise grade equipment, but I love playing with LLMs and LoRa's and making images and making AIs do things. And a few weeks ago, I had read an article about something called the Smallville research paper, where they used generative AI and just gave them simple instructions and then had them live their lives without directly telling them what to do. Everything was just kind of seemingly natural. And I was reading another article where they did something similar with Minecraft, and I thought, I have the hardware to do this. That'd be actually really cool to try. Now, I don't really want to get too much into what I used, what I did, and the technical aspects of it, because that's a lot of nerd stuff that if you are already interested in doing this, Google can help you with it. But you do need some hardware. I used my main machine's RTX 3060s, which is more than enough to host an LLM for this purpose, 36 gigs of RAM, and I did a simple sample of 8 agents where I wanted to set them to set up a village in Minecraft. Now, this sounds like it should just work, and I realized I have all the hardware and a little bit of technical know-how to do so. However, when I got involved in it, the things I thought were going to give me a hard time, like the API, receiving the calls and transmitting them back to the AI, telling them how to respond to the game, it just worked. I thought that was going to fight me. I had to create behavioral processes in JavaScript when I'm kind of rough around the edges on Java, and then I had to feed that back to my AI for it to humble me and tell me, "You fool, this is wrong." So after many generations of files, I finally got the AI to simply spawn in. Once I had agents spawned, my goal was I wanted to give them very simple instructions, similar to like what they did in Smallville, to say, this is your job. For example, you're a builder. And I wanted to give it a one-liner about its background. I don't know, I'm a former soldier, or something like of that nature. And then I wanted to do this over 8 different AI and have them form their own world based on 2 guards, 1 administrator, a builder, 2 farmers, and I can get more into the roles, and I'll also get into some of the tools I used in my description, but I don't really intend on getting here. What I really want to show is tonight I actually got it to work, because man, it was a fight to get these things to do anything. So initially, once I got them to spawn in, they would happily chatter with each other and do all that background story stuff that I had given it. However, they just kind of stood there or piddled around, didn't do anything, even though I told them, please farm stuff so that we can build our village. They didn't. They stood there. They starved to death. They got killed by NPCs. And all around just did nothing. Now, I had to fight with the code over and over to realize it actually wasn't my code. The problem was the AI was hallucinating. It said, I broke this block, but in the game, what happened was it hit it twice and stood there and looked at it. Now, anyone who's familiar with using AI at all is quite familiar with AI hallucinations. When they don't have an answer or they can't make it work, they make something up. Now, it took me a while to actually figure that out, because while I am very familiar with hallucinations in terms of an AI, I'm normally seeing this like when I build a model on something. I'm predicting an action to take place based on an immense amount of data that I fed the AI. When it starts to go too many steps away from the data it's experienced with, it will completely make something up. And it's kind of obvious when you get used to dealing with an AI. But because it's the first time that I've deployed it like this, instead of creating an Ollama on how I would respond to a message, or creating a Ollama on pictures, or creating a model on certain things. It's the first time I've had to deal with a game. It took me a minute to figure out why it was doing this, and I was going back and forth with my own LLM trying to figure it out, and the AI and I were going back and forth over every single line of code trying to figure out what broke, until I finally said, I don't think it's a coding problem. It's reporting that it broke the block. I'm watching it. It hit it twice and stood there. I think it's hallucinating. And then all of a sudden, all the things start kicking into place, and the AI made a recommendation for me to change something in the code, which I did. And then everything just worked. At this point, the only thing I was asking the AI to do was collect wood. And then we could work on making armor and everything else after that. So not only were they chopping the blocks like I asked them to, they were getting themselves up to get the additional blocks, which I never told them to do. This is exactly the kind of thing that was reported in these research papers, and this is what I was hoping to see. My ultimate goal here is beyond just entertainment and honing my skills. This is essentially a digital fish tank. I could just look and see what they're doing. If I want to tweak something, I can. If I don't have to. I could introduce random characters, see how they react. Because I already have all those relationship mechanisms set up, just never got that far. So I am super excited to play with this. And I know this just looks simple. Yay, I got a bot to break a block. It's the concept of what I can do with this is what's exciting. And I look forward to making probably additional episodes just showing what they've done on their own. And I am very excited to see how this turns out. On a side note, to my friends that are watching this, you may see your name here for one of two reasons. One, you hate AI, or two, you encourage me to do this. Either way, thank you very much.